Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Casually Hardcore Podcast, episode 59. Joining us, we're welcoming DM21 Gaming back. We're going to be talking about Blessed Unleashed, TemTem, all the things that he's been up to over on Mixer. His links will all be in the description below. Chris, how do we get this podcast paid for? Take it over.
Well, as we talk about different games, especially foreign games, we have been using a service called Exit Lag. Exit Lag helps remove lag from games, especially if you're considering MMOs that are based on other continents. So definitely feel free to click in the description below. You can do 3 free days, see if it makes a difference. If it doesn't make your lag go away, don't worry about it. If it does, you're welcome. So that's it. Last week we had Hunting for Games on, and that was just super conversational. I felt like we could have just extended the time because I don't know that we ever really stuck to an outline. We just kind of chatted for a while.
Yeah.
And then the hour was up. So let's get to talking about games.
All right. So, DM, dude, what's going on with Blessed Unleashed? Because I like hands down, the number one comment that I've seen when I've been lurking in your streams is like, hey, didn't this game fail?
Didn't this game die already?
Yeah. He must have been on my stream for about 5 minutes, maybe during the beta, because the comments lately have been very different. But yes, that's a very good question, and it definitely something to talk about. So it's not just a fluff piece that Bandai Namco or NeoWiz came out with when they said that Blessed Unleashed was an entirely new game from the ground up. It has a brand new engine. It's a totally different genre, completely different world design. The only thing it shares is lore and characters. In fact, one of the guys who I've been playing with was probably one of the only dudes who really, really, really loved Bless Online. And he's in our guild, and I've been having an opportunity to kind of bounce off of him. Hey, was this like this in Bless Online? Was this like that in Bless Online? And the answer is almost always no, this wasn't like this in Bless Online. Bless Online did this and that. This game does this, this, and that, and I like that better. We would go through parts of the world that he's been to before in Bless Online, and he goes, wow, I really like what they did with this place. They really added a lot of detail. They did this, they did that. Oh my goodness, this is wild, this is crazy, right? So the two games are completely different, and I'm having a blast.
So what's the maximum level cap? Because I was watching your VOD the other day. You're level 30, and you're
31.
Playing. Okay, you're 31 now. At the start of the VOD, you were 30. What? And you're playing a Guardian, is that right? So you have
a Berserker.
Okay, so
there is no Guardian class, but that was you're getting there.
I'm getting there. Well, again, I briefly touched on the beta, and I was the Berserker, because that's the same one that I picked as well, kind of lion-esque, in its build. And I was like, oh, it felt kind of slow, and I was like, okay, I'll wait till this game comes out and release it. So, what is the elevator pitch to to the community here? Why you should go out and try Blessed Unleashed? Is it a free-to-play game? Is it a bind-to-play game? Is there a subscription base there? What's the high level stats on the game itself?
Well, it's free to play, so that right off the bat is good. And it will be free to play on March the 12th. So it comes out on March 12th. Right now, if you want to get in, you can get a Founders Pack. I'll give you a bit of a head start. You can jump in and play the game. It is free to play, so they got to make the money somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
The Founders Packs are a pretty good way of doing it. Now, there's first question usually is there pay to win? Let me put it this way. I won. I was the first person in the world to beat the campaign and to beat the final boss, which is incredibly difficult. And it's kind of like Dark Souls.
Okay.
So the elevator pitch is that it's a slow, weighty combat ARPG. Not really fast and flighty, very slow, weighty, down in the trenches kind of ARPG combat. And imagine doing that with 1,000 of your friends fighting the same bosses at the same time. We discovered some new features in Bless Unleashed. Forgive me. We discovered some new features in Bless Unleashed that we did not know. They were not advertised at all. They didn't tell us about them. So after you beat the campaign, your character can legit summon the gods from the skies. And what happens is big demons and creatures and evil things come down, and you have to beat them. And it completely changes the environment. Changes weather effects. There's tentacles like Cthulhu coming from space, and there's gods floating in the sky. And it's everybody's like, oh my gosh, the GM's triggered this event. I'm like, nah, I did that, and it's so empowering and it's so cool, and I feel like we're barely scratched the surface of this game, and I've been playing it nonstop.
So if you guys, for those who are watching and listening to the podcast, haven't seen DM21, we've had him on the podcast before. He is a variety streamer over on Mixer, brings a lot of great content to the platform. Final Fantasy XIV is something that we all share in common. That's how I think we got originally connected back in the day. And so for the Final Fantasy player who is like, yeah, they maybe they finished the 5.2 story. Now they're just kind of waiting maybe to 5.3 to continue on. March 12th is that free to play game. What would you say to the Final Fantasy player who's looking to maybe make that transition? Like, what's the thing? Like, here's what you need to know. Here's how you get started. I know the answer. Does a controller work with this game? But like, if they're a controller player in 14, is this going to be a second home for them to come check out?
Well, the sad thing is that if you are a Final Fantasy XIV player, you play on PlayStation and on PC. Hopefully soon Xbox. But in this particular case, Blessed Unleashed is an Xbox exclusive game for the moment.
Oh.
We do know they are working on another platform. The only hint they've given us is that other platform begins with the letter P. So PC or PlayStation.
Oh, man, that's a tease.
Thanks, Sean Brody. I appreciate you. Tell us more. Anyways, so
crossplay.
I'm hoping so. I've been advocating for it so hard, and luckily, I because I've been covering the game, and they've been kind enough to notice that I've been covering the game. I've been able to, and I have their ear, and I've been telling them how desperately it needs to be crossplay. So I'm hoping that we'll get PC, Xbox crossplay, and then maybe PlayStation jumping aboard soon. I wanted to go to PC because I think a lot of PC players are a little bummed out about what happened with Blessed Online, and it would be a good peace offering to bring it there as quickly as possible. I understand it's meant to be a console MMO, but at the end of the day, they've earned a lot of goodwill with their Xbox players.
Mm-hmm.
We had a month to test Blessed Unleashed, a month. And we see the game get better and better and better with every test iteration. And now we're at release, and it's really good. Like you were mentioning how Berserker felt slow to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, remember, one, it is meant to be a Dark Souls or Souls-inspired ARPG.
Yeah, so I don't want it all flashy flying around. Especially it's such a heavy build. You know, just like physical, like intimidation. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't want him just like, you know, like a ballerina just dancing all over the screen. But I was watching your gameplay specifically, and they introduced ways that kind of help alleviate that. Like you were just like, oh, there's an enemy, you know, like 10 yards away, and you would just like jump up and just like jump down and just start slaughtering them. And I was hovering over that buy early access button. I was like, oh man, I might have to make some time for this game.
And it's a surprise, you know, and I get it. Like a lot of people are like, you know, this is the Blessed Online thing, whatever. It flopped on PC, and the surprising thing is that a lot of people are jumping in, they're seeing it, and they're like, okay, you know, I think the disconnect is that they're trying to compare it to every other MMO on the market.
Mm-hmm. Blessed
Unleashed intentionally breaks all the rules, but in my way, in a good way. So it's not a tab targeter.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't go for the very fast styled ARPG combat that you would expect from BDO or from PSO2 or Terra. They went slower, and they did that intentionally, much to the chagrin of a lot of people who jumped into play. They were expecting BDO, they were expecting a Terra. They got Blessed Souls, is what they got, and that was actually a good thing once you wrap your head around it and you kind of alter your perception of what the game is supposed to be, and you kind of go, okay, and then you get into these boss fights, these incredibly memorable, incredibly difficult, and incredibly rewarding boss fights. Everything from a Cyclops to a Spider Queen to, you know, all sorts of crazy things, huge giants, dragons, wyverns, the whole nine.
Yeah, you and I had an exchange over on Twitter talking about like how because I'm really excited about Phantasy Star Online 2. I have a huge amount of nostalgia.
You're gonna get me in trouble.
I'm not gonna get you in trouble. I think I was like to draw a comparison because that's another free to play MMO light. You know, like MMO is a term that is like has a definition in a certain player group, but then outside of that, it ends up being labeling elsewhere. I'm watching you run around the open world for the most part. I don't know if you'd label it an open world, but in Blessed Unleashed, but in Phantasy Star Online 2, it's very hub based. You
Mm-hmm.
kick off from the city, you pick a mission, you go run the mission, and then you return to the city. You're not actively running around the open world, even though, because there isn't one, but the levels in PSO2 are somewhat shared in that regards. So like when you talk about the MMO itself, like with Blessed Unleashed specifically, because I think that's where, from a new modern game itself, that world feels living, at least from the experience that I had, in lurking on your stream and then watching you play recently. I was just like, wow, that looks gorgeous. Is it an open world or is it a hub based kind of game? And I just they have the blinders so well placed that I just didn't see it.
It's entirely open world. Right now, if you go into the game, it is open world. They do have 2 instances which you can switch between on demand, but they're 2 open world instances.
They call them channels, right?
Call them channels, yeah. So basically, the whole time you're out there, if there's a boss that's not up on one channel, you can switch channels. It might be up on the other channels. Kind of helpful, particularly in the situation that we are in, where there's a huge influx of players. I think they sold a lot more Founders Packs than they kind of thought they would, because, wow, it's crowded. There's a lot of people out there playing the game. They're having a blast. And the channels kind of help alleviate some of that crowded feeling because it is an open world. If you're there and your buddy's there, you'll see each other no matter what. You don't have to join a group or a party or be part of the same guild or get lucky. You'll be there. They don't limit the number of people who participate in the field bosses at all.
Mm-hmm.
If there's 100 people fighting a field boss, there's 100 people fighting a field boss.
Does it scale up?
The boss does scale.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The boss dynamically scales. So the more people that show up to the boss fight, the more health it has, and it's fun. That's the thing. And it's not just the more health it has too. There's some bosses that summon ads, and they'll summon more depending on how many people are there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a world boss called the Soul Razor Revenant. Also got world first on that one. I almost soloed it because no one else was able to kill it for the chest. But anyway, I had my friends show up at the end to help me out. But yeah, that was a fun one. But that one normally would summon like 10 wraiths that you have to kill. And if you don't kill them within a certain amount of time, they all float to the boss and basically double the boss's attack power. And so there's the mechanics like that. They're very Final Fantasy XIV inspired mechanics that impressed me.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for example, a lot of people, my big criticism of games like Destiny, for example, is that, okay, we're going to give you challenge content, but we're going to do that by increasing the health of the enemies. Division does this as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do this by increasing the health of the enemies. We're going to do this by making them do more damage, and then we're going to give you some rule sets where certain damage doesn't do as much anymore, or you have to do this, or you don't get ammo, and that's how we make it hard.
Mm-hmm.
The way that Blessed Unleashed does it is they throw in some new mechanics. They throw in some new moves as you get closer to the bottom. There's like the 20% event triggers. There's they don't just add more health or more mobs to it. They do a lot of things that dynamically changes the difficulty as you go through.
How does that work on gearing?
Well, gearing is...
It's like 14 is the most boring from a gearing standpoint, right? You just equip the highest eye level you can find, and then when new patch comes out, you just replace that with the new higher version. And then you have the opposite end where you talk about like Wolcen Diablo thing. Well, not Diablo because the sets, but like a Wolcen where it's like every piece is part of a build and you have to understand how all these stats work together, and it's so complex that you really have to have your details sheet up in front of you where you don't know if what you're equipping is accidentally making you worse.
So here's the cool thing. The loot is very much, it feels like a looter shooter. It's part of your build. Okay. The equipment you equip will change or augment your abilities. You get different attack bonuses or crit hit or crit damage rates and things like that.
So there's passives that are attached to the gear itself?
There are passives that are attached to the gear itself.
Be still my heart. my old school MMO player in me is just like jumping for joy on that.
100%. And that's the thing that I really do love about it, is that they have a lot of different substats that really change your character. For example, there is this one belt that I have. I don't have it equipped, but I have it. Why? Because I know in a future blessing, I will unlock a skill called Seize, And Seize is, at first glance, not that big a deal. It's a chain. You throw it out in front of you. You pull the enemy closer to you, and it stuns them for a little bit. And, it does a little bit of damage. It's not too special or nothing that's too outlandishly awesome. But then you get this belt, and the belt will reduce the enemy's defense by 36%. Oh, well, wait a minute. Now that's worth it, because think about that in a raid situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can increase everybody's damage against the boss. That can help us hit damage checks and things like that. So it's more than just a pull and a stun. Now it's a defense down. I can use it in burst phases and things like that. So I've been holding on to this belt, even though I don't have it equipped, until I get my new blessing, and I'm going to use that to actually help us run through raid content faster. There's all sorts of things like that.
I got some mechanical questions for you and to get your perspective on it, especially as it relates to this, because
Sure.
as a new, in this regards, new game, new MMO, we've long seen over the last decade, like 2010 to 2020, the homogenization of a lot of the systems that play out within these games. And, 14 is no exception to that. And they've gone and done different directions with it, like Blue Mage, for example, not being able to use matchmaking, but you can build it however you want, as long as you have friends that are willing to run content with you. If you, I don't know if you followed the Blue Protocol development, but also another Bandai Namco game, just like this one is being published by them. And what they're doing is they're bringing back skill trees for these MMOs. They're bringing back leveling your weapons. Like, okay, your weapon has experience. It gets stronger. Go grind it out, because we play RPGs because we have some kind of sick connection to the need to get XP. It's like it's a problem that I have. Help. But beyond that, like, they've added in all these different systems, your gear, your level, your weapon level, your skill trees, and they all summarize that into a battle point within Blue Protocol, so that you can now do some of the match-made content. Does Blessed Unleashed feature match-made content? Does it have skill trees? How do you go about having player agency with RNG in terms of getting people together? I really want to know your perspective.
So all the above. It has it all. There is matchmaking for arenas, which are 2-player boss fights. Then there's layers, which are 5-player boss fights. And then there's dungeons, which are 5-player dungeons. Each dungeon typically consists of 3 bosses, right? And then some mobs in between and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
All that can be match made, but naturally beware, because you never know who you're going to get match made with, and this being a hard Souls-like game, you will have problems. So make friends. I will just tell you that right now. So it has all of that. You can matchmake and all of that. It also has PvP. That was one of the things that a lot of people don't really understand, is that it has PvP. I had the opportunity to try some 3v3 arenas, and they get sweaty. Like, they get really sweaty. Very competitive, and it's MMR based. And one of the cool things about Blessed Unleashed too is that they run on dedicated servers, which is that's a big criticism for the
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2 is they don't run on dedicated servers. So there's still a few lag issues at being a new MMO with a lot of players coming on. But that is the thing. They run their PvP in seasons. Right now, they're in preseason. They're trying to figure out class balancing and things like that. So they don't want to lock in any kind of real results yet. People are leveling their characters. They're learning the game. So that's going to give them some time to build their characters, maybe get some consumables. This is a game that doesn't hold your hand. So they will not balance you or your gear. What you show up with into the arena, that's what you have. That includes consumables. So
what's your thought, Chris? Because
I mean, I prefer skill-based PvP, so I prefer it to be something like Halo, where like everybody's given the same thing, and then the delta between somebody who's really good and somebody who has never played a video game picking up a controller for the first time is that raw ability to control, not somebody's like endless grind, and then therefore having so what we've learned as we go back and we watch games kind of come back around the second time, like WoW Classic, when you look at PvP in WoW Classic versus how it was in WoW Vanilla, is there's this whole tier of players now that are professional content creators. So these are not 12-year-olds in a basement, like whatever the stereotype on South Park, that this is literally adults sitting there with decades of knowledge and practice, with a ridiculous number of hours and a cash incentive to be the literal best and just optimize until they punish everybody below that top 1%. So far out of the running that like PvP and Classic doesn't interest me, because I don't have 90 hours a week to grind all the people who get off a certain flight path or some optimal PvP mode to get my rating up high enough.
Well, luckily for you, there is another PvP mode. It's called Battlegrounds, and that one is scaled. From my understanding, that one is scaled. The arenas are meant to be the competitive, like I want to be the best. And in Blessed Unleashed's philosophy, that pretty much means I'm able to get the best gear. I know the game and I know how to get it. I know how to make the best builds, and I know how to get the best consumables, and I'm going to beat you with it. And that's what the Arena 3v3s are for.
How many hours does it take to acquire those things?
Well, let's see here. I'm at Endgame now. I started on Wednesday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I beat Gideon, the final boss of the campaign, by about 1:00 p.m. on Sunday, playing roughly 16 hours a day. So what is that, 16 times 4?
64 hours.
Yeah, 60, 70 hours for a game.
Now, that being said, I knew what I was doing. I had a really good team. I could not have done it without that team. This is a game that greatly rewards teamwork. Other players, your mileage will vary. You might spend 100 hours to get as far as I have. And there's even people who have similar teams who still haven't beaten Gideon and gotten that far in the story, who are very competitive in their own right. It's a hard game. So if you're competing at that 3v3 level, that's not something that you do as a new player. That's not something you do as a neophyte. That's something you do as someone who's really braved the game and gotten that far.
So hundreds of hours of content.
Yeah.
Dedicated servers. Variety of play modes. How are they long-term planning to pay for this?
All right, let's talk monetization. So obviously it's free to play, right?
Yeah.
So it being free to play, you can jump on and play, and you don't have to pay a dime for the game ever. The first thing I want to touch on is that you will not really be disadvantaged much at all if you are a free-to-play player. That being said, there are boosters and services like XP Boost. I know some people's opinions differ on XP boosting than others. Just to make it clear, my group and I, others in my group did, but I personally did not use any XP boosters in my journey to cap level. Not only was our group the first to get to not cap level, but Endgame. Endgame begins at 30. Endgame begins at level 30. It's an untraditional endgame, which we should talk about later. But my group and I, we got to level 30. Most of us did not use XP boosters. I personally did not use XP boosters. I did not use an SXP booster. The only thing I had was Valor perks, which I think gives 10% XP boost. Valor perks are their optional subscription. They give you a few perks like extra soul pyre healing, reduced teleportation costs, and XP from harvesting speed increase, and a little bit of XP on monster kills only.
Does XP matter after cap?
Does XP matter after cap? No.
So then an XP boost doesn't matter.
The XP boost,
it's just time.
Exactly.
As opposed to like with a Paragon system where like XP is allowing you to get continually further in the lead.
Now, that being said, I said no, but this game has surprised me. All right, because the game didn't tell me I could summon gods from the sky and destroy their denizens. But I could do that. There's not a single bit of advertising material that shows this happening. Not one. And so when we discovered how to do this, it was insane. And we were like, wait, what? And we started doing this, and people in the game were like, why did the GMs summon this event? And it's like, oh, Clark summoned the event, not the GMs. I did that,
Yeah.
My character's name is Clark. So that's the thing about it. So we could get the level cap, and they could be like, hey, and now there's this prestige system. I have no idea. But as of right now, the answer to that question, as far as I know, is no. XP doesn't matter after 45.
Okay. What else can I give? What else can I give them money to give me in return?
All right. So cosmetics.
Okay.
The cosmetics are actually quite beautiful. I've been quite impressed with them. You of course get your schoolgirl, schoolboy outfit. That's a duh. Every game has that.
Cool looking ones without it, or is it pretty plain without paid?
Oh no, the outfit I'm wearing now is not paid for at all. And I like the look of my character. It's actually an outfit you get by completing the one of the campaigns in the game. Cool. So, and then there's other outfits like that as well. And the cool thing is, and this is something that people will then start to scream, oh, then maybe it is pay to win. I haven't seen that so far. But the cool thing is that they do allow you to sell the cosmetics on the auction house. So people go, well, isn't that a method of buying currency? What we've seen so far is that people aren't really willing to buy the cosmetic items because star seeds are so intrinsically connected to your progression in the game that if you were to spend it on cosmetic stuff, you're kind of taking away from your progression. From what I've seen, I have a steampunk outfit. I did not buy it off the Lumina Cash Shop. I bought it because somebody was so desperate for star seeds, they sold it for like 10,000 star seeds, which is a drop in the bucket to me. Because I'm selling gear for 3 times the amount of the cash shop items.
I actually don't have any issue with that because all you're doing is trading. You're transferring the money. It's not like the game then said, oh, now we're going to print 10,000 star seeds and just push it into the economy, thus further driving inflation. You're just saying, well, I have it. I don't need this. And, oh, you have that and I need that. I love player trading. I think one of the things we've seen over the last decade is less and less of that player driven economy in that regard. So in that regards, you got something for free and he got something he needed, and all it took him was his willingness to part with money, which supports the game overall.
That's how WoW tokens work, right?
Yeah,
they don't drive inflation. They literally take people who have too much money and they take people who want money and are willing to support the game to get it. And they just connect them in the cloud.
Exactly.
In a safe way, and then they take their finder's fee at that point, because it's like, you could always
go non-safe ways we're taking a finder's fee. So
exactly. Oh yeah, and hacking your account and.
Then of course I do have to mention other monetization systems. They have something called the Blessed Pass. We haven't seen it in use yet because it effectively goes live on March 13th, the day after official release.
That sounds like a optional subscription.
Correct. So you can get items whether you subscribe to it or not. Blessed Pass, everybody has access to it. But then if you actually subscribe or buy the premium items from the Blessed Pass, you get cosmetic rewards.
Okay.
They might give star seeds for that, but it's still something you have to earn. So that's one of the things that I'm kind of waiting to see. In beta, they did award extra star seeds. No one sold anything. It was just sort of like an example. We could see that, okay, maybe they might give some star seeds here or there, sort of a premium reward. I would imagine that'll still be the case. So I don't anticipate that being any different. But in my mind, it's since you're not spending money and getting currency, you're spending money for the opportunity to earn currency. You still have to go out and earn it. Obviously, people's thresholds for pay to win vary and they differ. So
I think it's an important distinction, because I've even seen people call Final Fantasy XIV pay to win, and that's all a matter of how it's defined on how you define it. The traditional way is that you're buying power, and in that case, like I know in 14 you're not buying power whatsoever, but people definitely like, that's one of the things being a content creator. It is surprising. You run into a wide range of opinions, which is great. And that's one of the things, like I tweeted out yesterday talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake, how we're just I was really shocked that so many people were saying like they actually are upset or they don't like it at all. And it's perfectly fine to have it. I was just surprised by the volume of it. And
because in our little vacuum, 2 people that played the demo in the same room,
we're like,
we both liked it. We're like, how could there be another opinion? We've tested everybody in this room.
100% of Brian and Chris like this game, and so like, but we go online and we see that, you know, people in our community, etc. Even beyond that, like, you know, Chris Collier and other writers at you know, prominent, you know, video game news outlets, you know, it's like, yeah, people are just saying like, not a big fan. It's like, and it's perfectly fine if they want to think that. I was kind of like, wow, that's surprising. Chris and I sat down and talked about it, and somebody even replied to my tweet, and they're like, who doesn't like this game? This game's perfect. And I'm like, oh, it's so good that like there's an undisturbed part of the internet out there that isn't aware of that, you know, of a differing opinion regarding like, just like, hey, whether you like a game or not. And I was like, I thought it was like this unique unicorn that I found that replied to me. I was like, don't go searching, stay pure.
and that's the thing I'm running into right now is, you know, and I'm not going to tell the PC players that they were wrong about Blessed Online. Blessed Online, the predecessor to Blessed Unleashed, it was not good. All right. I remember thinking, gee, maybe I want to pop into this, but I had a few reservations. One of my big reservations is if you won't let me test the game before it comes out, I'm not going to pay for it until I get some reviews, particularly when it comes to MMOs. Right. That was something that happened with Blessed Online, and it had technical issues and a lot of woes and a lot of problems. When it dropped here in the U.S. It should have never dropped in the U.S.
Why label this Blessed Unleashed as the same? You know, outside of the lore. Like, if they are only really sharing the lore, why not? Especially because that confusion. Like, it's a freaking Wii to Wii U, maybe? Yeah.
Let me advocate for the Blessed Online players, because they need some advocacy. And the big thing is that they paid a lot of money for the game, and even though part of me is kind of like, well, why? Because you didn't get a chance to really test it or play it. Why would you pay $120 for a founder's pack if you didn't get that opportunity to play and test and see what you were getting into? But the thing is that they did, and the game was a technical mess, admittedly, and its servers shut down after a year. And so PC players have every right to be skeptical. They have every right to be like, you know, so you took our money and you made this awesome game that we should have gotten.
Yeah,
which is the reason why I implore Bandai Namco and Round 8 Studios, NeoWiz, to please put Blessed Unleashed on PC as soon as possible, free to play. Maybe even consider giving some free founders packs for the PC guys who paid for the Blessed Online already. Is that possible? Can we please make that happen? To basically give them the game that I think they wanted. And I think that's what Blessed Unleashed represents.
Yeah.
The thing, you know, Blessed Online was an old game when it came to the US.
Yeah.
So it's the same reason why I'm skeptical of PSO2, which is why I thought you were going to get me in trouble earlier. I'm like, I feel like PSO2 is just a nostalgia dream. I don't think it's that good of a game. Sorry. And you know, crucify me if you will. I'm just
deleting you from the podcast, right?
No, and that's fine, you know. And look, and that's my opinion, and I'm not going to tell you your opinion's wrong. It's just, for me, I have no nostalgia attached to the game. So Blessed Online, that was the same case. That was the same thing with me. It's like, it's an older game. I'm not sure how it's going to be when it's received over here. You know, I'll wait. And I waited, saw the reviews, and said, nope, not playing it. The thing is that I do think that PC players for Blessed Online were given the short end of the stick there. And I would like to see NeoWiz and Round 8 really do something for those guys and get them the product that they wanted and make it up to them.
Now, is Unleashed a new? I believe it's a new dev and the new publisher, Bandai Namco, stepping in. But this is a different team who developed Unleashed, right?
Yes and no. So there are some members of the original Blessed Online team that are a part of the Blessed Unleashed team. There are some people who are the same. There's also some new folks, and I've had the time to meet them. And you know how it is when you meet people. You immediately realize, oh, they're cool people, and they're not this evil organization that's out there to steal your money. No, like, the developers are incredibly passionate. I've had times to chat with the lead dungeon developer, and I've had opportunities to talk to him directly about the game, about the dungeons, and what I like and what I don't like, and that has been really, really good. I could tell he's incredibly passionate. I've had the opportunity to talk to Sean Brody, the community manager. Being a preferred content creator for Blessed Unleashed, full disclosure, I've had the opportunity to meet some people.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, they're a passionate group of developers who desperately want to make a good game. And you could feel it when you play Blessed Unleashed.
Is there? You said that there was one other thing regarding Blessed Unleashed that you wanted to kind of touch on. If like any other thoughts on Blessed Unleashed, because I do also want to talk to you about your work within the TemTem arena and in that game as well. So, like, is there anything else before we move into TemTem?
Yeah, sure. Let me just break into this. Blessed Unleashed endgame is not like your traditional MMO endgame. Your traditional MMO endgame is rush to level cap, then worry about everything else. Blessed Unleashed doesn't let you do that. They will legit say, hey, have you worked up your reputations? Because if not, you need to do that. We won't let you progress. And some people that will actually turn them off.
Mm-hmm.
Some people that gets them excited. For me, I believe leveling is a journey. I actually hate that leveling has been trivialized to just something you got to do before you can play the real game. Admittedly, Final Fantasy XIV is kind of like that, though they've done a better job with Shadowbringers and Stormblood, making that story so worth it and fun to play through. So they've been getting better, but at launch...
And 5.3 marks a big change in the new player experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
It will come out at the same time as a drastic overhaul to the new player experience in World of Warcraft. So the two titans in the room are both saying, we have been wrong.
I want desperately to be able to say after 5.3 to not rush to Heaven's Word. And because it's like when we look at the stats, when we look at the conversions, when we work with players and when we help them, because they're like, everybody says this is worth it. And then once we get them to Heaven's Word, then they come back and they're like, I get it. Like, I loved ARR. I think ARR is fantastic. I was there day one and, I went through that journey and we didn't know what was going to happen. I think ARR is a masterpiece. I know I am in the minority. I know that ARR at this point, because that's not where the end game is happening, because that's not where the social aspect is happening. It's hard to sit here and say like, okay, yeah, I get it, but you owe it to yourself to do it. I'm concerned for 5.3 with a squish. I'm concerned with what does that mean overall for the game itself. Is it going to feel like, are we sacrificing a lot to get a little, or are we sacrificing a little to get a lot? And if it helps improve the overall new player experience, it helps make that journey from A to end, from alpha to omega, like just even more seamless. And we don't have so many people dropping out of the game before they get to the game. That would, I think, overall be the reason to do it. And I'm looking forward to the numbers. And I hope that I get to go back and remake our guide for getting started with this game and saying, hey, don't worry about rushing to cap. Like, I want you to have the best journey possible.
Exactly.
Here's what you need to know. That's what I hope to be able to sit down and do this summer. But it's still a reality. Like, that is like, you go look at the guide and it's like, here are the walls that you're going to hit and you have to, and you got to clear them. Just buckle up and do it, as opposed to, and then the game, like, they've really streamlined a lot of the game post, once Heaven's Word hits, then from there it's a lot better experience.
And and that's kind of what I've been trying to say, especially to the more casual players of Blessed Unleashed, because that there's a lot of people who work, they don't get to play 16 hours a day like me. Are you
saying streaming and content creation isn't work?
Absolutely not. Anyways, but the point is that for us, we hit barriers and walls that I don't think other players will. For example, if you play straight through to level 17 as hard as you can and as quickly as you can, you're going to run into an XP gap where suddenly you don't have enough experience points to really do the next dungeon. However, if you're a more casual player and you jump in and you do the region quests, you do all of your side quests, and you're helping people and you're doing the arenas and you're leveling at a less dumb pace, and you actually take the time to do region quests and help your friends and play an MMO like an MMO is designed to be played, you won't have that experience point gap. And so I think that's one of the big things there, is that they do things to kind of throttle the hardcore guys. But that won't necessarily throttle the more casual player.
We've seen a big shift over the last 10 years in games in general, too. Games live a lot longer than we thought they did. So when we criticize WoW and Final Fantasy's new player experience, that content was designed to be played then. And so we're like the people then were designing it for that time period. They weren't designing it to like age pristinely a decade later. Like that wasn't in the scope. Like with Final Fantasy specifically, they weren't even sure the game was going to be around 2 years later, much less be the entry point to the #1 game on Metacritic in 2019. Like that, there's no way they could have seen that coming. And then we've seen a shift on like games in general also. So like in Diablo, I still felt like Diablo 3, the goal was get to cap and then worry about it. But in Wolcen, it's like, hey, play this narrative experience, and then it's going to drop you out somewhere between like mid-30s, mid-40s, and level cap is 90, and all these other in-game features unlock slowly after you're in Endgame. And so like you haven't even, so like it's like, oh, have you beat the game? Yeah. Okay, so what do you think? Oh no, all beating it did was teach me the sheer number of things that I don't know about yet. Like I know less now than I did when I was in the story because I'm aware of all these other systems, but I haven't unlocked them yet because you have to like build this city, and the end game takes place in the city, and you have to build your city, and you can't start forging items until you built your forge. It's like, well, I don't have the money to build a forge. Like I just got here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And yeah, that's kind of what Blessed Unleashed is like. Most people are used to Endgame beginning at cap. In Blessed Unleashed, the hardest dungeon content is unlocked at level 36, not 45, 36. So you're like, oh wait, so I'll still be leveling when I'm playing through the hardest dungeons in the game? And the answer is yes. Now, what do you get for a level? You get a little bit of vitality, a little bit of your primary stat. That's what you get. But mainly, your ability to clear content is based on the gear you're wearing, your gear score, which is important, and then of course your defense, your attack ratings, and your substats, and how you build your character. And it's exciting because I'm already discovering things I wasn't expecting to even be in the game. And I kind of want to continue scratching off that surface there. I still have a story mission, but we're being time gated a little bit on reputation, which is what my current project is to get my reputation up and get loyalty tokens and things like that. But yeah.
Are there servers for this game, or is it just like all you just start a character and you're in, and then they have channels?
There's one North American server and one European server. There's no region locking. Anyone can jump in.
Okay, cool. Cool. You might have just convinced me to come play with you, so we'll have to see. I have to look at my schedule.
Did I mention it's playable on controller?
Yeah, I know. I'm excited.
Yeah,
well,
and the controller is really good. It's got 5 layouts, so you can really pick the layout you want. Yeah.
Well, and you said it's free on what day? Like I'm just debating.
March 12th.
Okay, so
that's the date I had in my mind. So when you said you want to talk about it today, I was like, isn't that coming out in March?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Well,
we'll see. We'll see. I have. Let's see what I can do today.
You could spend $20 and jump in on the 5th with the deluxe, or you could spend $40 and jump in today.
Oh, so it's a skill now. Okay, I'll have to go look at those packages and decide. Yeah, you have convinced me to at least try it. I played the beta. You convinced me to try the beta, and I was just like, okay, like how many?
And
go ahead.
If I may. At first, because it's a Souls-like game, sprinting is going to be jarring to you. Combat's going to be jarring to you. And I would just ask and just really implore everybody to understand it's not your traditional MMO. They break a lot of rules, and they did something very different. So when you run out of stamina real quick at first, it's jarring. Everybody's like, I want to be able to sprint further. Well,
Can you grind that out? Is that something you can...
You can increase your stamina. Yes. Not only is there gear that increases your stamina, the Lionheart Blessing, when you max it out, gives you a passive 10 stamina bonus, which is really nice. The Sentinel Tree, which I didn't even talk about the unions. Oh my gosh, I could talk about this game all day. But the Sentinel Tree and the unions, you can unlock an additional 10 stamina there. So passively, you can unlock 20 stamina. And then your gear, you can add stamina there, either on a percentage base or on a point base.
That's one of the things that just frustrated me with Anthem, is they did a patch with Anthem that allowed you to fly longer, and I was just like, why not let us grind out that passive, that ability?
It was atrocious.
Oh gosh,
yeah.
It's
from
such
one
a small
Anthem
thing.
fan to another.
Yeah.
And I love Anthem, even despite its flaws.
2.0.
Anthem Unleashed.
Anthem Unleashed.
Yeah, Anthem Unleashed. That's what we need.
It's a Switch exclusive.
Anthem
We're
next.
so sorry to all of you that aren't on Switch.
Let's pull Sean Murray into this project. He'll revive it. It's just...
Sorry, Switch exclusive. I'm sorry, that just hit me right in the gut right there. That would be so. I couldn't wait to see the Yang Ya video on that.
Oh gosh, please don't. No.
We actually already established enough
he's already
here.
dead.
It's already, he's already working on it. It's already recording.
Oh, for sure.
Let's talk about TemTem.
Yeah, let's talk about TemTem. I've fallen in love with it. Like for me, I was blown away just by the combat, by just the subtleness of it. Chris, like I was like, hey Chris, come play this game with me. And I was like, I'm done with the first island. I'm just feeling good progress. I blink, and then Chris is like,
yeah, I'm like 6 hours in, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it.
And then I blink, and Chris is like, blasted past me. He's like, I already know how to do breeding. This is all the systems. Here's the roadmap. I'm like, well, we should probably post about this on Work to Game. And because nobody rings that bell, like we do have a low bell read through. I don't know. Ring the bell, everybody.
What are you guys doing?
I think that's one of the reasons why we were talking about, like when we were looking just our stats, and we were talking about this pre-show, was like when we look, our search percentage for videos is massive because we do a lot of educational content, which is great. Our browse, meaning what YouTube feels like it pushes, I think that they're really leaning into people who ring the bell. Like if you like, because we've posted on things and people have messaged me, DM me saying, Brian, did you see this article from last week? And I go, here's the three videos. Here's the 3 videos of us talking about it. Like YouTube is not pushing out like our content. I'm like, okay, I guess we're gonna have to start saying ring the bell.
Get the bell on.
But yeah, so like Chris was posting on it. Like there's so much cool TemTem stuff. They've released a roadmap all the way through 2021.
Yes.
You're covering it in a competitive way, and that's what I want to kind of hopefully focus on the back half of the podcast here. Talk to us about your role with TemTem. Talk to us about why you decided to kind of take on this arena role, and what is it, and why should people be excited?
Well, first off, I do shoutcasting for TemTem competitive play with the #1 competitive platform for TemTem, TemTem Arena. TemTem Arena, check it out; it's dope. So it's actually a community-driven project. TemTem Arena is, where some guy was just like, dude, this is great. I love this. I've been wanting to do something like this forever. Let's roll it. And he attracted a lot of talent. I'm one of the shoutcasters. I show up and shoutcast the games, and it's awesome watching these competitors come in and tear it up. And they're doing things that no one has really seen too much in the competitive TemTem scene because it's new, and they're coming up with new metas, new team comps every time we see them, and they just learn how to get better and better and better. And you see one new comp come out that beats the old one, and then another one will come out to beat that one, and every week it's something different. It's been an absolute joy to participate in. I've been very privileged and to be a part of it. TemTem is really cool because I'm going to unfortunately upset a lot of Pokemon fans here, and I'm sorry, but it's what Pokemon should have been by now. Pokemon, unfortunately, has not innovated as a game. It's the same game that I played back when I was 10. And, it was awesome jumping into Pokemon Let's Go because that was the game that I was familiar with as a kid. And so it was fun to do that and then play it a little differently with a different spin. But none of that different spin really landed in the new game. And the features that were new were bugged or had other issues, technical problems, and it kind of landed me in a really weird way because the whole game was about expanding the Pokedex now. But with the new game Sword and Shield, they may have expanded the Pokedex, but then they brought it back down.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, so what's the point of expanding Pokedexes when you're not innovating your game, and then you're going to pull other Pokemon out, probably to release later on for a DLC patch that I have to pay for.
Yeah.
And the whole thing seemed very weird and wrong. With TemTem, you now get this world where it will grow and pretty much grow for free, after you buy it. We get the idea that it's a live service game.
Mm-hmm.
So with live service games comes the idea that you'll get new content eventually, unlike your traditional single player games. So Pokemon, which should be a live service game because of how the game is and how it should have innovated, is not. TemTem is a live service game. It's an MMO that doesn't feel like an MMO. It feels like you're playing Pokemon, but with a bunch of people who doing it with you, and you could see them and compete against them and play with them, and soon join clubs and do a number of other really cool MMO related things.
Crossplay, multi-platform.
Yes.
So like you're talking about, like when you're talking about Pokemon, you're saying just like earlier when we were laughing about Anthem, is like it's on Switch. That's where you play it. But then you have TemTem saying, okay, well, this is what we want to do. How about PC? How about Xbox? How about PlayStation? How about Switch? How about, whatever. And the thing that, like, what I talked about in my video when I posted on it was, what game are my kids going to grow up playing?
Yeah.
Nostalgia, like hands down, Pokemon MMO releases tomorrow. I'm there day one. I'm going to go play it. Hands down.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Nostalgia. I'm in. Let's see what they do. I would love that. I would, hands down, I think that'd be great. I think if TemTem forces Pokemon to kind of evolve, and I love the fact that Pokemon evolve, like it's the perfect analogy for the game and the genre itself, then I think everybody wins. But I asked the question, I said, what game are my kids going to be playing? And the answer is they're going to be playing TemTem, because that's what I'm going to be playing. And if Pokemon wants to be that, be only what it is, that's great. Like, it's going to go do that for a while. And eventually a whole new generation is going to grow up and they're going to be like, oh, isn't that the single player TemTem version? Like, that will happen with enough time and enough investment, assuming that TemTem doesn't go off and become like evil overlord, in that regards. Like, there's a lot of factors like in play. And when you especially talk about a span of 20 years, but me and Maddie, we were playing TemTem just the other day, and because we played Pokemon, it's a really easy transition into knowing what we're doing, and she is just as excited about the Tems and their models and what they can do as she is about Pokemon, because her and I only sat down and played Pokemon with Sword and Shield recently. And that's why I actually really enjoyed the Sword and Shield, because I was watching it and experiencing it through her, a first timer, as opposed to the adult in me was like, I really wish there was some more meat on the bones here. I like what they've done, but I was like, oh, well, I mean, what other option is there? And then all of a sudden, like, what's this TemTem thing coming out? And so Chris and I bought in, and that's where I was like, yes, this is really good. And the nice thing about it is that within a year, 2021 summer, the game should be pretty much released. And so this is a nice way that we can kind of help test, provide feedback, play it like, once I need to finish the story, as a part of, as it goes. So that way I'm ready for the next patch when that comes out eventually. So I'm not sitting here always sucking wind behind Chris here, just crushing me. Like, he's crushed me in every fight we've done. I am a bad video gamer.
How dare you?
I know. It's like, good Lord.
He's chosen to put stat points in things like fatherhood and stuff, so like it's just a poor build for video games.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, like I unfortunately I have a defect where I can't be a dad without adoption at least. But whatever. We're gonna go with the character sheet. So I guess it gives me the gamer edge for myself.
When his kids start running gathering leaves in trade for not having to do their chores, he may come out ahead.
I'm playing the long game. I'm playing the long game here.
That's fair. That's fair.
Hands down.
Not only that, but I know some fathers who get their kids to grind for them and to farm for them. Hey, you want to play a game? Yeah, you see all those ores on there and on the mountainside? Yeah, go and gather those.
There's a thought, like, in all honesty, when it comes down to content creation, one of the big reasons why I like doing this a lot, it's very educational for me. And if my kids want to get into the world of content creation, they're gonna have to get a lot older. Like, I'm not I see a lot of kid stuff, and it's like, okay, no, no, you'll not, unless Maddie walks in when I'm doing the patch notes, we're not going to be doing any of that. But if she wants to get into content creation as an adult, I'm going to be excited, because I can be sitting here and saying, here's what, here's how you make content. Here's how you engage with your community. Like, what is it, what are you doing this for? What's it about? And hopefully try to help raise hopefully good people, good content creators for the next generation. And then at the same time, I've got 4 kids. We're not planning on stopping, full disclosure. So at some point, I could have a raid team, it's like, all right,
there you go.
Right? It's like, and then
hey, 4 kids, you got a group in Blessed Unleashed.
There it is.
You're on your way.
We got 2 Xboxes. I just need to figure out a way to afford more. Well, hell, that's where people wonder why I'm pro cloud. I have a great experience. I don't have to buy systems. the internet works. We have a gig.
Oh my gosh.
Let's just cloud up everybody.
I mean, like, everybody's complaining about Stadia, and I'm like, I have had a great time on Stadia.
Yeah, 2/3 of this room right now have a great time on Stadia.
I have had a miserable experience.
And
what I will say that Stadia's biggest weakness right now is not me having a miserable experience out of this room. It's that there is not a single person that plays games on Stadia that cannot also go pick those games up on another platform.
Yeah.
Nobody has moved it to being their primary. That's their weakness, is they have no leverage over developers.
If I had kids, Stadia would be their primary.
Right. Because it's cheap.
Since they don't have leverage on developers, they have to then create leverage, and they haven't, and that means pay them, and they have not been willing to pay them. And so
it begs to question, it begs to reason, can we get, and we're changing topics drastically, but Stadia is an interesting topic, but can they tap into that mother or father situation where maybe they're not gamers but their kids want to be, and it's like, that's the cheapest entry point into games right now. Stadia, it just is the cheapest.
It's not just for the kids though. It's like, I would
say
now. Well, GeForce Now, but it's still like free versus GeForce Now is not free.
Yeah.
Stadia is will be here in like,
it will be free
a couple of months. We assume.
You just buy the game when you're done.
Yeah. The I was sitting down and actually on that note, like I was talking with both of my brother-in-laws and like one of my cousins. We're all at dinner, and they were sitting here like, they're former gamers, like hardcore gamers, love video games, don't have current consoles. And we were sitting here and I was like, oh yeah, so here's some cloud stuff that's coming out. And they're like, tell me more about that. And I was like, yeah, like you don't have to, you just buy the game and then you stream it. So if you've got good internet, you're ready to go. And they're like, that would be perfect for me, because the road barrier is still that $400 console. It's still that like PC. It's like, wait a minute, like if all of us, like Stadia and stuff isn't for I wouldn't say mass market hardcore gamers today. However, it's about trying to bring back in these gamers who just play like freaking mobile games. Like, who are just like, okay, I'm on a mobile phone. Let's see here. Let's just play these mobile games. You know,
I wish I could play Elder Scrolls, but it doesn't run on my phone.
Yeah, it doesn't run. Oh, well, stream it to your phone. Like, I was just
Destiny 2 runs on my phone.
Yeah. Destiny 2, I was playing Division 2, I was playing just TemTem. Like, I'm actually streaming TemTem onto my phone. So that's what me and Maddie are just playing on downstairs. And it's just because we have no capped internet, we have no problems, and there's no lag. Like, it's once you go hands on, you're like, oh my god, the tech actually works. This is insane. And then from a content creation perspective, being able to not have these games on my hard drive, so that way I can have, oh my god, footage, and so I can edit videos and stuff. Like, it is a game changer for me in that regards. Back to TemTem, because we might have to get you on just to sit here and talk cloud gaming. You know, I know that's
I would love
people
to.
hate when I talk about the cloud. They hate. They're like, don't,
because it's not for them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, not everything someone makes will be for you, and it's okay that it's not for you. But you know what? I could see the audience who would want this. I could see why they would want this. I mean, like, come on. You put a Stadia control in the hands of your 5-year-old who wants to play Minecraft, and off you go. Or Farming Simulator or Destiny. And I just had to buy the game. That was it. I didn't do anything else.
Yeah.
I just had to buy the game. No, and I don't have to worry about whether or not the hardware fails. You know, I don't have to worry. Only thing I have to worry about is my internet, and then you could play, and you could play in the car, you could play on the go, and I'm interested to see what other cool things they could probably get done with it. But that's a longer conversation that maybe we just need to.
Yeah. We're gonna have to get you. We need to get you back.
We got to pull Yang in the room. We'll have a chat.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. It'd be so. That would be. They like. Yeah. We'll see. Well, when we always invite everybody on, and depending on the size of the, it depends.
And scheduling.
And scheduling.
Scheduling's a hard one.
We got a couple minutes left. TemTem Arena though. So like, what would be the high level elevator pitch? Like, where can people find that, and what do you like about it?
Well, twitch.tv/TemTem Arena. That's where you can find it. And I like the fact that it's a community project that's made up of a lot of talented people who are working really hard, pretty much for free, to bring competitive TemTem action. The big thing is that when it came to Pokemon esports, only Nintendo company and the Pokemon company can really run tournaments. And it took the community ran tournaments pretty much purely out of the picture, any type of real sense or scale. because TemTem doesn't put any restraints on who can or how Pokemon tournaments can be run, uh, we can have our community tournament come out and actually run it without the help of Crema or some other third party saying that it's okay for us to do it. And the really cool thing that I really want to point out is that Crema has been really responsive to TemTem Arena, in the fact that they moved up the spectator modes or being able to spectate on the games to a higher priority, to being sooner in the roadmap than what was originally anticipated, because the demand for competitive play and competitive viewing was really high. Like, my first time shoutcasting a TemTem Arena match went live to 2,000 concurrent viewers.
That's incredible.
On a brand new channel that had not existed before. It was like a week old by the time I had joined the team. And that was incredible. Now, it's gone down, obviously, as the hype from TemTem is sort of, like, okay, we're waiting for the next thing. But
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the game handles such a long roadmap between the initial hype generation, oh my god, it's Pokemon MMO, and full release. Because like my brothers, for example, they would only be playing for PvP. So like I can look at the roadmap and I can see where their on-ramp is, right? When we start to see MMR-based PvP and tournaments get added, which are both on the roadmap, when that comes on, that's their natural point. Breeding, playing a story that doesn't interest them. So playing now would really be a waste of kind of their time if they don't want to go engage in something. Well, because when I last talked to them, there wasn't social stuff.
No,
there wasn't social stuff.
Go to TemTem Arena on Twitter, join their Discord, and register for a tournament. Anybody can register. That's the thing, is that the way that we're billing it and the way that we're building it as a community is that you don't need MMR. You don't need that. We got you already handled. You want competitive play? We got you.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm on the Discord, so I just need to finish the last thing. I'm gonna see if I can get me some competitive TemTem. I'm probably gonna get the floor mapped. It's been a long time since I've done.
It's really cool, man.
Tournaments.
I did not know this was a thing.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I'm really excited for us to talk about it. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna surprise Chris with this because I don't think he's aware, because he's mopped the floor with me. I need to get good. I'm not gonna lie. My skills in TemTem are lacking. I need to turn on the ginger power and just bring it in. Just like, yeah. I used to be very competitive, like fighting. I love fighting games, and different kind of tournaments, things like that. And this is before all that really kind of blew up big, and before I became a dad. So there's obviously like what kind of balance and time is allocated that I can put to it, but. Yeah, okay. Guys, be sure to go check out the TemTem Arena. Be sure to follow DM21 Gaming on all his socials. Streams over almost daily. Like, there's been a couple times where I've been like, I like to go lurk and support and farm, sparks on Mixer. And sometimes I go online and you're not live. I'm like, all right.
I guess sleeping?
I guess I'll go watch somebody else over on Mixer. But you're one of my favorite creators over there. I really appreciate what you do, what you bring to all the communities and all the games that you play. Truly, I think, obviously, passionate gamer, and hopefully you continue to grow and see success. Where can people find you? Is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap up the show?
Well, they can find me at mixer.com/DM21 Gaming. You can also find me on YouTube. If those people who are skeptical on Blessed Unleashed, you want to learn a little bit more, I got some videos there. Remind, all those videos were before the Head Start launch. So for those wondering, well, hey, does he still like or play the game? The answer is yes. I'm playing the game religiously on Mixer. That's the reason why there's no new videos, is I can't stop playing. It's bad. I have an addiction. Someone help me.
Chad's like razzing you. You're saying you're not really a good guy.
Tyler is a great guy. No. But seriously though, it's mixer.com/DM21 Gaming. And please, if you are interested at all in competitive TemTem, do take a look at TemTem Arena on Twitter or on Twitch. Join the Discord, and you can register for competitive games today. There's no reason to wait for MMR or tournaments hosted by Crema. They're doing this now, and they're giving us the tools that we need to continue being successful. You could be in a fully shoutcasted TemTem Arena match. I think they're running a tournament on Friday. So jump on it.
Chris, where can people find us? What are we working on?
Working through 5.2 stuff, so maybe another round of Final Fantasy XIV videos is in the mix as we wait for the beginning of Relic stuff. We've been playing a fair bit of Wolcen, so and there's always other games in our lives. We talked a lot about Final Fantasy VII this week, and then that'll go dead until April 10th. Is that right? Maybe that date's just in my head. And last week we had Hunting for Games. That was an awesome podcast. Next week we have Tate scheduled, so that is the plan for next week's podcast. Thank you so much for coming on, DM21. I'm gonna go learn more about Pokemon Arena. This was a blast.
TemTem Arena?
Well, it's so interchangeable. I'm always like,
it's TemTem Arena.
I want to fight you. If we have more time to talk, I'd tell you why the battle system in TemTem is so unique and different from Pokemon.
It's better. It's so better.
It's so much better.
When I sat down to dream up my perfect team, looking at all of the current available Tems and their evolutions, and looking at the different their different base stat levels before you factor in SVs and TVs and stuff, like immediately it was like, actually Pokemon knowledge will help get you in the door, but it's almost a negative thing when balancing a team, because 100%. It's giving you it's not the same.
It's very different. I don't want to prolong the show, but yeah, it's great.
It's a thing.
Well, we'll have him back. Obviously, this is your second round, so we definitely need to get you back with less of a gap, because there's just so much to talk about. So look forward to future podcast with the Bicycle Walrus and all that. So anyway, we'll wrap up our show in our traditional fashion. For Work to Game, my name is Brian.
My name's Chris.
Oh, am I supposed to say something?
It's up to you.
I'm Bicycle Walrus from DM21 Gaming.
Yeah. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Where all podcasts are found: YouTube, iTunes. Anyway, leave us a like, leave us a review. Let us know what you're thinking in the comments below. Thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Oh, there's the camera.